And we're up on this lovely Sunday. It's Sunday. Sunday morning for me, Sunday evening for you. Night? What time is it? What time is it there? Like I never remember what zone you're in. Oh, okay. That's so you're eight hours ahead of me. Yeah. So how was your week? Mine was not bad. I started a new gig, so I'm kind of today because yesterday I had to wake up at like 6:30 in the morning for the first time in I don't know how long. It's interesting, but I mean, getting ready for Prodigy. Well, so I know you saw the breakdowns that we dropped last week for Strange New Worlds. Did you happen to have a chance to look at the ones that we dropped this week for Prodigy? Yeah. So we talked a little bit about one of the characters. I don't want to get super spoilery here, just because we can't. I don't want someone to like randomly tune into this and then be like, "Oh my god, you ruined this for me. I didn't want to know anything," because the characters' descriptions do kind of give away a little bit of what the plot of the story is going to be. It's interesting though. So there were, I want to say six or seven characters total, um, and all of them are new for the series. We know that Janeway is going to be there, but these were all the adult characters. None of these were the teen characters that are going to be the main focus of the show. So I don't necessarily know where these characters actually fit into the story, whether they're going to be regulars that we see on a weekly basis. It's telling me that you're on mute. Let's see. Let me see if I can
Mute.
fix that. Maybe not now. Donnie, let me know if you can hear him when he speaks next. Say hi.
Hello, hello.
Um, so I don't know where these adult characters actually fit into the plot, whether they're going to be regulars that we see on a daily basis, or not on a daily basis, but on an episodic basis, or recurring characters, or just like one-offs from episode to episode.
Yeah,
But they do have me excited. So anyone who's watching, if you don't care about being spoiled, even like minorly, because like these don't give away like, oh, here's what happens in every single episode, or here's the exact plot line, but it's going to give you an idea about where the show is going. So if you don't mind that little bit of a spoiler, go head over to theilluminati.com and check out our character breakdowns, exclusive for Prodigy, because they are rather interesting, especially that one that we were discussing.
yeah. Just hope Neelix isn't in it.
he's probably back in the Delta Quadrant being a chef somewhere, maybe,
Probably.
or still pining over Kess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's
Or
I know we're
maybe
gonna go
living
to
living
Discovery.
living with her in Kentucky or wherever it is that she lives now.
Yeah, just be like there. No, there's an episode where I can't remember which one it was, and he just walks in, talks to Seven, and she just insults him, and that's his only thing for the episode. I was like, yes, thank you, Seven, thank you.
What am I watching now? Like, am I? I'm rewatching the Orville,
Mm,
um, because I recently saw that they went back into production on season three.
yeah.
Because they had, from what I understand, they had shut down like midway through filming, because of all the COVID stuff, and because of the way that they're filming, they weren't filming like straight episode to episode.
Mm,
So it's all kinds of mixed up. So they weren't able to even release like half a season before everything got weird. So I want to get caught up on that. I like it. I don't agree with all of the people in the fandom who are like, this is better Star Trek than new Star Trek is. I
Mm.
think it's good. I think it's a fun show, but it's not. It's to me, it's not Star Trek. It's just another sci-fi show in a similar vein.
Mm.
Kind of like, it's like saying that Earth Final Conflict or Babylon 5 is Star Trek. It's just another sci-fi show that takes place on a ship exploring the galaxy.
Mm.
That's really about it.
Yeah, I like the Orville because it's heavily inspired by Star Trek, so that's how I've always
Yeah.
kind of seen it. Um, like with Babylon 5, I know that basically Deep Space Nine was ripped off Babylon 5.
Yeah, more or less. And it's funny from what I understand. Who's it? Was it Robert Hewitt Wolf? No, Robert Hewitt Wolf did Andromeda. I don't remember who it
Yeah,
was that was behind Babylon 5, but he recently either released a book or he had an interview somewhere where he was talking about it, and apparently he had pitched the idea to the execs, and they're like, "No, we're gonna go and do something else." And then they came out with Deep Space Nine, which was not exactly the same as Babylon 5, but
mm,
a lot of the premise was similar.
yeah. Well, I met he was the Greg something from SPD, uh, the director or exclusive producer behind it. So I was around at his house randomly, as my friends and I just went round to his house, and I noticed he had all the models for, I think, for Deep Space Nine, and like all the stuff. So because he sculpts like a lot of the things, and he told me the exact same thing. He said that he worked on Babylon 5 as like sculpting stuff, and then the execs went, the people who did Babylon 5 went to speak to the execs of Paramount. They went, no, 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 we don't like this. And then like 6 weeks later or a week or two later, whatever. It's just like, and here is this nine, and they were like, and that was it. So yeah, that's exactly the same thing. And I was just like, he's like, absolutely hate Deep Space Nine, but if I was a good sculptor, and I saw a really nice Deep Space Nine just hovering up, I was like, that's really cool.
I I want to get like I'd really love to get a model of Deep Space Nine to put up somewhere. Like I think like maybe like one of those magnetic ones that kind of
Mm,
like hover because then I can
that'd
spin
probably,
it and have all kinds of fun with it. Yeah, but I don't know. Deep Space Nine is probably my favorite series
mm,
out of all of them. It just it hit kind of at the right time, and like in rewatching the the themes and the just like the storyline itself is very relevant to what's happening in the world now, and like when it came out, and it's just good. If anyone out there hasn't seen Deep Space Nine, I definitely recommend giving it a watch. And if you haven't seen it and you're borderline, you're trying to figure out, okay, well, should I watch this? Should I not watch it? Watch an episode from season 6 or season 7 called Far Beyond the Stars. It is more or less a standalone episode. It doesn't really spoil anything from the overall storyline. You won't necessarily know what certain people are talking about with a few things, but it doesn't actually break what's happening in the episode, and it's a good way to see whether or not the show is going to evolve into something that you're going to like.
mm,
So that's my suggestion there. But let's talk about Discovery, season 3,
yes.
episode 8, The Sanctuary. Um, this it doesn't really seem like it picks up right where we left off. It seems like there's been a little bit of time in between Unification 3 and this episode, right?
Mm. Yeah, I think maybe like a week or so or something like that. It's not like super far in the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
future.
It's not like months or years, but it's definitely not like the next day or like 2 days later. It seems like
Mm,
they've been settling into this new role for a little while now, since they got that information.
mm,
So we do know that they've been studying the information that they got from Navarre, because that was one of the highlights points that came up in this episode was Stamets and Adira briefing everyone on what they had found. But we don't know how long they had been actually looking at that information. There was no real like 3 days later or 2 weeks later or any of that kind of stuff, which is fine. It doesn't like that doesn't really matter. But just trying to figure out the timeline of what the show is. There was no real defining information there to tell us like what the star date is. I guess that's what I'm getting at in a long-winded, drawn-out kind of way.
I think it was a lot. I quite like the episode because, I think Burnham is now coming into the element where she's not just doing things rogue. Like when Buck goes like, "Oh, I need your help to do this," and she's like, "Oh, I really want to go, but Starfleet." And I generally thought, dear God, if this is an episode where she just literally goes, "Bye," and then she's off across the universe, I'd just gone, I can't figure out this character
again. She's doing it again.
Yeah.
But no, she didn't. Yeah. I did like that. It shows an evolution of her character that she's like, okay, let me play by the rules and maybe I can convince people to do what I think is the right thing to do. And it worked.
Yeah, it's like when they've talked about it, like everything, like when they went to speak to the Admiral, I generally kind of thought, is this just Michael going to be a character where she just doesn't do anything? But I quite like the fact that the one thing I was thinking of is I generally thought, because obviously they want to know what the burn is, because obviously that would be the biggest thing they can think of. So at first, like the Admiral's like, I don't particularly want you to go and find this out. And then boom, it's like, oh yeah, go do it. I generally thought the Admiral would be like, yeah, just go do it. Like your ship can do anything. Just go on your jolly way.
Right. Well, and that's that's one of the funny parts is like he was like, oh well, we can't afford to have anything happen to your spore drive because you're the guys that are able to get around a lot faster than anyone else. But then he was like, all right, go, but just jump out if anything bad happens. And it's like, okay, well, can't that be the case, like, no matter what? It's like, if they can literally just, like, blink out of existence in one place and get out of trouble, then why not let them go and do this thing and then pop back over? Like, I guess it seems like they don't have a problem with having enough spores to travel. Like, we saw that was an issue in the previous season where Stamets was like, we have to go get more spores, or I have to harvest more spores or whatever. But now, like, we haven't seen them say, okay, excuse me, like what they haven't talked about their supply. So it seems like that's just not an issue anymore that they have.
Yeah, I mean, I completely forgot about that because it always seems like we'll pop here, we'll pop there, and they don't really kind of talk about it. Like I generally thought now maybe they've got like an unlimited supply because they've like the spore drive knows, or maybe like the ship now goes, well, actually we need to kind of like give more. Like it could be a plot thing where they come up later on and go like, oh, we've tried to get over here to this area, but we're not allowed to. Like the ship won't do it. But then even if it went into a battle, I guarantee like one shot. Oh, our nacelles are down. Oh, let's spore drive out of here. Yeah, that's offline. One lucky shot. God damn it.
Right. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's weird to me that hasn't come up because they had that one discussion back earlier in the season between Stamets and Tilly where she was like, hey, let's talk about using dark matter to power the spore drive. Well, was the dark matter going to be replacing the spores to power the spore drive, or do they still need the spores because the spores are what allows them to travel the network, or is the dark matter allowing them to go travel the network and they just need like one spore in like a dilithium crystal chamber type thing that's just there for them to activate when they need it and it doesn't actually go away? Like, this is a really like weird nitpicky sciencey type thing, but that's like one of the basic things of Star Trek is all the technology. So like now not knowing like where they got with the dark matter and conversation whether that actually happened or not, whether they're still using the actual spores themselves, because Stamets just kind of like stands in the thing now with his hands in the goo.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I'm I feel like that was a plot line that just kind of got dropped because it wasn't necessary anymore, which is fine. It's just one of those things that kind of stood out to me in this episode where I was like, huh, I wonder what's going on with the actual spores, just because they were talking about jumping around.
Mm. Yeah, I think also one thing is like it seems like you've got one of the most powerful ships of all time, and that it's not really utilized that much. It just seems like every single mission so far has been kind of a bit pointless. Like, oh, go to the Vulcans, boom. Okay, go to Book's planet, boom. It's like you had like in this episode, you also had like a thing where was it the Orion ship was super powerful, and yet the
Right.
Discovery just seemed to watch, and I was just like, oh come on, I want to see a really good battle. I want to see what the ship can do, rather than just
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand the ship kind of sitting there watching, because Saru is one of those guys who I'm going to follow the rules until I deem it necessary not to.
mm,
So like he's perfectly fine to just like sit there out of the way. But, like, yeah, sure, this planet is getting pummeled, but we're just here as observers, so I can't do anything yet. And but that's also I think maybe Burnham wearing him down a little bit, because when Tilly made the suggestion later on towards the end, well, what if we used a non-Federation ship with a Federation officer that is going to get punished later? I was like,
mm,
all right, so there. I think Burnham, her methods are rubbing off on them a little bit, with them trying everything they can do not to have to go down that road until they actually have to. But then once they get to the
mm.
point where they have to, they're like, all right, let's do it your way.
Yeah, I've noticed like Tilly's becoming really sassy quite recently.
Hmm.
So when you had Andorian, I can't even say the species right, but when he came in and he was just like rah rah rah, she's like, "You will speak to the captain with respect," and it's like, "Damn, Tilly, damn."
It's
So
part of the job.
yeah,
Comes with the territory. I do like that. They're not dwelling on that either. That she's moved beyond the "Am I good enough for this role? Am I capable of carrying out the requirements that are needed by me being the first officer?" Dwelling on Burnham getting demoted and all that kind of stuff. I like that it was addressed, and now they've moved past it. If it comes up later, like with her being forced to make a decision that she's not necessarily comfortable with, and using that as a, okay, well, maybe I'm not ready for this responsibility, I'll be perfectly okay with that. But I like that it's not like a constant weekly reminder.
mm,
Well, I was an ensign up until 2 weeks ago. Like,
yeah,
just just let it go until like the story requires it being a thing again.
yeah. Can you imagine just sitting in the mess hall, just having some food, and Tilly comes in, and you're like, "Oh God, she's gonna say it. She's gonna goddamn say it." Well, I used to be an ensign about 2 weeks ago. Oh God, we know Tilly. We goddamn know this. It's just that one thing that she constantly says. Oh God.
Yeah, so let's break apart the two different storylines that we had going on here. We had what was happening with the burn and the
Mm,
discoveries that they made during that, and then there was everything that was happening down on the planet that I cannot pronounce the name of.
yeah, we'll call it Planet Y.
It was like it's let me look at exactly how this is spelled here, because it's like I want to say quantification, but that is not it at all. Uh, let's see here.
So,
The name of the planet is, where is it? Quajon.
Quajon Jin.
It's K. The way it's spelled here is Kwejian.
Uh,
So it's
Quajon
like
Jin.
yeah, like Quajian or whatever it is. Like I
Mm.
I don't know. But anyway, the issue there was not the issue that we were led to believe it was originally. Uh, a Book's brother had gotten a message to him that said that they were having an issue and that he needed to come back to help them out. You find out that due to the burn, the orbit of the moon was affected and caused the tides on the planet to change, which made uh, sea locusts move inland instead of being out at the sea. And the sea locusts are destroying the ecology of the area, and like all their crops are being ruined because of it. And apparently, this is an issue that they've been dealing with since the burn. So for 100 years, they've just been like, "All right, well, I guess we're gonna deal with these locusts because we don't want to actually kill them."
Yeah, it's. I felt like when Burnham goes like, "Oh hey, like can you not sort this?" And he's just like, "Scientists, they'll figure it out." You kind of think that would be your main issue for 100 years, is you'd be some sort of closer to it. Like if they're feeding off like some sort of energy or a frequency, is you try and basically copy that one and then put the frequency back. So it felt more like it was like a kind of a throwaway thing. Like these things were important, but they'll be back at some point later on.
Yeah, they're a MacGuffin.
Mm.
Like they're just kind of a thing that's there that later on at the end of the episode they were like, okay, well now we have to deal with these to help them out, just so that this particular storyline doesn't come back and bite us again later.
Yeah.
um and I don't know, it was a weird plot device to use, I think, because the whole thing the whole thing stemmed from the fact that because these sea locusts invaded, the chain came along and we're like, hey, we've got this pesticide type stuff that you can use that will stop them from from attacking your crops. But we're the only ones that have this pest. Couldn't they reverse engineer it? Like
Yeah.
couldn't they, couldn't they put it into like their computer analyzer and be like, oh, this is what it is. Let's recreate this. Like I don't understand why they were only able to get it from the chain. That just didn't make any sense.
Yeah. I feel like when like watching back, and this is like well, kind of like in Picard as well, where it's like we're in this sort of like dystopian future where like no matter what you do, it's like everyone's screwed. Like it's you had like the Federation kind of at the top, then you had like the Cardassians. Like everyone was at like a certain level, and now it just feels like everything's been pushed down to the part where it's like a nuclear bomb's gone off or something, and there's nothing there. Like everyone's trying to rebuild. So you kind of think, yeah, like, well, we could easily replicate this. Like, what is the formula? No, we're not going to give it to you. Well, we've got the chemicals right here, but we can't analyze it. So yeah, we'll go, Emerald Chain, we'll stick with you. It doesn't. It feels like it's not Star Trek at the moment. It's more kind of a offshoot of Star Trek.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like I don't want to harp on this thing too much because it's really not important in the overall grand scheme of the episode. But it's just one of those dumb things. Like the burn didn't break replicators.
Mm.
Like I know that like certain chemicals and certain things like dilithium you aren't able to replicate because of the complex nature of them. But a pesticide,
Yeah, it's super rare,
like
like the lithium.
yeah, like it just I don't know, that didn't make any sense to me. Um, everything else in the episode though I enjoyed. Like it was just that one stupid thing.
Mm.
It just kind of like broke that whole idea of that being a problem to me.
I mean, I didn't kind of pick up on it until you mentioned it. Now I'm thinking like, God damn it! But like also shields have become like stupidly like super strong in this now.
I mean,
Like
that kind of makes sense though. It's 930 years in the future, so you got to
I
imagine that
know,
they figured out how to do like some like I don't know like weird frequency harmonic shifting thing or whatever that just makes the energy blasts less effective.
Mm.
But at
I
the
think
same time, modern weapons would learn to compensate for that. So I don't know.
it's just the way that like Saru goes like or someone on the ship goes, oh yeah, they're firing photon torpedoes, and I'm like, one of those can destroy a planet, apparently, but they're bombarding it, and the shields are like withholding it, but everyone's just doing the whole type thing as soon as it hits. But I was quite impressed with the shields. I was like, damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, those were all. It was like it's for me like seeing that kind of thing. It's I want to know in real life, like if we're actually ever going to get to the point where that is a thing.
Mm.
Because like you have to imagine that shields are probably some sort of electromagnetic barrier.
Mm.
Because otherwise, I have no idea how that would work. Like projecting energy into a semi-solid thing.
Yeah, oh, the shield's it'd be like a bubble, isn't it? So it would just
Yeah,
literally as soon as it forms and complete it. So I imagine like if we were to have this sort of technology now, then you'd have to have like say little things planted somewhere so that for it can connect that way. So like water, like water goes to the like end and then that sort of thing.
right. Well, I've seen like the thing where like someone will take like a nail or something that's been like ionically charged in one direction and like they'll move it up to the water and the water will start like shifting in the other direction. Like you can
Mm.
push water with magnetism. So I would imagine it's something like that on a grander scale. And but yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there are plenty of explanations online for how shields would actually work in real life.
I'll be like, $2 million, and I'll give you the codes for it, and I'll make you my own.
Uh, but no. So the actual storyline here was really the reconnection of. Well, actually, it was the storyline here. It seems really had absolutely nothing to do with what was going on the planet at all, and it was more or less just to get Book to be like, no, I want to join Starfleet now. I agree with what you're doing.
Mm.
Um, it was that next step of making him see that the Federation were actually good people and were out there to do um, good work in the universe and try and bring people together, and for him to decide, okay, this is I want to join up with you guys,
Mm.
which I think was fairly obvious that we were going to get that route from the beginning when we found out that he wasn't just like a a mercenary or a thief, that he was saving those animals, the transworms, and
Mm.
moving them back to the sanctuary. Um, Speaking of the transforms, though, how did you feel about our boy
It's
getting
eaten.
his just yeah
I generally like when it's a transworms and stuff. Like I generally kind of thought that the worm would wait a while, because like when the Orion goes like, oh, you're gonna feel pleasure, blah blah blah. Like it felt like he could still move around really quickly as long as he kept looking. So I
yeah
kind of felt like that was just more of like just freeze there and it'll eat you. So again, like I think that will come. I reckon that will come up in a future thing with Buck saying like, I didn't know you had a transworm. I've got to save it and take it home. But it felt like kind of like I generally thought he like the guy who got eaten. He would stick about for a bit. It just feels like they go like, well, you've done one thing wrong. I'm now going to. You're dead. That's it. You're gone. And I can see on the element of yeah, that's good. But then I kind of think he's an okay character. Like you could see him going like, "Oh, I'm going to get revenge on Book. I'm going to go after the Federation and destroy them." So it just felt like it was more kind of like, "Yeah, your contract's over. You're not coming in another episode." So yeah, you get killed. Nice.
but it was also again another weird thing to me, was that it ate him, but when it swallowed Burnham, it just swallowed her.
Yeah, there's a simple explanation. She's the main character. They can't get rid of her.
I mean, I can I can write it off in like headcanon as, oh well, this transform was really hungry because she'd been keeping it there and like torturing it, or yeah, like the Rancor in Star Wars, like
Mm.
like it was kept in a thing and it just comes out as like really hungry. So instead of playing with its food for a
Yeah.
little bit or letting it digest, it's just gonna chomp it to bits.
Mm. Well,
But yeah,
with it,
I didn't see him being killed off right away either. Like I thought that he was going to come back as like a recurring bad guy.
mm, yeah, like it's one of those things of like you see all bad guys, they're like, well, you've got one more chance. And he's like, oh, I do what I can. And you're like, cool, that's awesome. And then if he messes up, then he gets like phasered or killed or something. And I think that's the kind of way I kind of saw it. But when it's like, oh, he's gone, it's like, oh well, that's really random. That's something that I didn't expect.
Yeah, it's like, okay then, he's done. Uh, so what did you think of Book's brother?
I didn't really kind of think of anything. Like I think as soon as you saw the whole thing of him wanting to protect his family, and he betraying his brother, I just generally thought I don't see him as a character. I just see it as this is a plot device to get them together to be friends again and stuff. I generally was like, damn, your house is really nice. That's the only thing that came to mind. I was like, I really like your house, and that was it. Um, but I didn't see him as a character. I knew straight away he was going to like betray Buck, and that was just a given straight away. Like it's one of those bad tropes where it's just like, you're a bad guy. You're not part of
Yeah,
this.
yeah. For me, it again, I'm going to say that this was one of my least favorite episodes.
Mm,
I don't think it was bad. Like it wasn't like horrible or anything, but I really felt like everything that happened down on that planet was just it just felt like it didn't move the story anywhere.
yeah. Okay.
Outside of making Book decide that he actually wanted to team up with Starfleet. Um, it just felt like that whole story was them just needing to get to that point and not necessarily knowing how to do it. And this was the story that they came up with, which is fine. Like we've had plenty of stories in Star Trek before where it's just a singular episode that it's just like just a one off storyline that doesn't move the plot in one
Mm,
direction or another. It's just kind of there. Um, so I don't have a problem with that really. Just that this one in particular just didn't. The story itself didn't do anything for me.
mm,
I didn't really find myself caring that much about whether whether Book and his brother reconciled.
yeah, exactly. The way that I see it is, it's basically a episode where you can play on your phone, literally look up at really random times and go, "Oh, so that's what's happened." Like, yeah, there's no, yeah, it's a filler. It's basically a,
Yeah, for me, the most interesting things that happened here were what was going on with Giorgio
mm,
and the burn.
yeah,
Outside of that, the stuff on the planet was just kind of okay. We needed to do this to get Book to join up with Starfleet and to make the chain really the enemy of Starfleet now. Like
yeah.
we excuse me. We need them to come back in like full force and actually be a thing. And I wonder if that's going to come to be a point of contention with Vance, whether he's going to come down on them being like, you guys handled this all wrong. Now our relationship with the Emerald Chain has deteriorated to such a point where now we actually are at war with them.
Yeah.
Like it seems like that's what this was all leading to.
Mm. I have a feeling like, so I'm going to try and predict something right now. Is they'll get to the part where they're all inside that Federation bubble base thing that they've got, and they'll be figuring something out major. Be like, right, so the burn is here, like 100%. We're about to figure it out, and then suddenly you hear, "Dum, dum, dum, dum," and loads of ships are just around, and they're just firing on the Federation, and it will be like, oh, now we've lost the data. It's been, oh no, we've lost it in time, or something like that. It will. they'll be attacked constantly, and they'll be like, "Oh, now we're here for the Emerald Chain." But on the other side, if you want to be if Saru wanted to be that guy, he could turn around and say, "Well, one of our rogue officers, she did that. That's nothing to do with us. We've disciplined her." You can say it wasn't the Discovery firing on you; it was this ship. It was the cat. The cat compelled her to do it.
It's a trans cat.
Yeah. The cat.
What was it? What was the thing? What was the thing on Futurama?
Oh,
Hypnotoad. Hypnotoad.
Yeah.
That's what those slugs are. The slugs are like carnivorous hypnotoads.
Yeah, exactly.
I never put that together until right now. All right, so let's move on and let's talk about which do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the info, the new information that they got from about the burn, or do you want to talk about what's going on with Giorgio?
Let's go with the burn.
Okay.
The
So Stamets and Tilly and Adira, or I don't know how much Tilly actually has to do with it now that she's first officer. It seems like she's kind of left that just to Stamets and Adira now. So Stamets and Adira were analyzing the data that they got from Vidar and putting that together with the information that Burnham got from the black boxes, and they located the point of origin for the burn. It was inside a nebula, and it was sending out a signal that sounded like music. Now, this is something that I was a little confused about. Like I watched the episode twice, and I still didn't kind of grasp where they were going with this. Was the did it sound like music because of the distortion, or was the music actually or was the music part of it?
I just generally thought it was just like that sort of thing. When obviously they've picked it up, so like no less I can think of it. It's like it's been set around, so it's like a fairy tale type thing. So it's more like 100 years ago, this sound started generating. So we've translated it into music. So we've not done it as like it's an SOS, like for the Federation. It's just a thing that we've kind of like taken over time. Because
right, but also how are people hearing it? Like how is it like brain wormed or earwormed itself into people's heads? If it's just like if it's like it's not even a subspace signal. I guess it is a subspace signal.
I think maybe like I'm trying to think, maybe it's something like like in Doctor Who, there's like a thing from when David Tennant was leaving.
Oh,
no, that was
the Nox, the Master.
Yeah, no, it was something else. That it was the Ood song or something, and for over time, it's always been a thing. And it's been echoed through time, and it's a repeating song. And also, you've got the four Nox, which was a Time Lord's heartbeat. Spoilers if you've not seen it, but it's been like years. But it was that sort of thing where it was like you also had it like say with the Master as well. It was like a signal sent out where everybody knew who he was, but it was like, he's been around for ages. And it was those little alien things that he brought. But anyway, digressing.
Yeah.
So I generally think it's something like that. It's over 100 years old, so it's been there. But it was also interesting to see Saru's like kind of thing where his eyes were like dilating. So
right.
I generally thought. I thought at this point, it's like, oh God, he's going to be taken over. So he's just going to go straight to the lithium and just blow it up himself. I was like, don't do it, Saru. But luckily he didn't, because he seemed normal. But I thought maybe it might have an effect on certain people, and that's what caused it.
Do we think maybe that's what the problem with Giorgio is? Is because now we know that it's a distress signal that's been sent out by a Federation ship. We don't know why the Federation ship is there. We don't know whether that Federation ship actually caused the burn itself, or whether something else caused it and it was just like stuck wherever it is. how long this Federation ship has been there. Like if it's stuck in like some like weird temporal paradox thing. If there's people living on it, like we don't know anything about what's actually going on in that space, but we do know that something weird is happening with Georgiou, and she's suffering some sort of cognitive decline. We don't know why it's happening yet. They did that scan thing to her, and they now Culber now kind of knows what's happening, but they didn't explain that to us yet. The last thing we saw with that was Culber telling Georgiou, let's go talk somewhere a little bit more quiet because you're not actually dying, is what it sounded like. Because she was like, well, I'm dying. And he was like, well, it's not that cut and dry.
Yeah, like for that one, that kind of made me kind of think. Before we begin this, and I'm going to forget this, when they were playing that song
Yeah.
and you heard it over the thing, I was like, please do not be the whales from Star Trek, that film. Because it starts playing and it's like, "Ooh." I was like, oh no, please don't. I hate that film so much.
You don't like Star Trek 4.
No, it's just it's such a
That's like
boring
one of
film.
the most highly regarded Star Trek films. Like
It's
everyone likes Star Trek 4.
it's there are whales and this thing is going down and destroying it and they need whales and it's just like, oh god, no. But if it is, I generally thought if it is that thing again, oh dear god, am I going to be like, no? And you'll just have like Kirk pop out like William Shatner and be like, I've been stuck in this temporal thing for ages. Oh no, he died, didn't he? So it can't be that. But
Well, but there might still be a remnant of him in the Nexus.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
he died outside. We don't know how that really works because, excuse me, Guinan. There was a remnant of Guinan inside the Nexus, even though she was outside of it. She hadn't died though, but since the Nexus takes place it like exists outside of time. I don't know whether, because you have to imagine Guinan's going to die eventually.
yeah.
So I don't know how that works. So I would imagine there would have to be some sort of like a time revenant of Kirk inside the
Kirk.
Nexus as well,
Yeah.
and that could be a way for them to get Shatner back.
As a
Would be
hey.
to like, I don't know anyone that actually cares about the Nexus, but that really could be a thing where may okay,
I
just really
started
weird.
something.
You just really weird thought pops into my head. What if the burn was caused by whatever experiment they were doing, like intersecting with the nexus inside of this nebula that caused some like weird boom thing, or they were trying to track down the nexus in order to see if they could use it to travel, like instead of traveling through the spore network, traveling through the nexus as it
Exactly.
travels across space.
Yeah.
That's not it.
If it happens, people are like, yes, so easy to predict. Um, but yeah, no, it just reminded me of the whales, and I was like, I hate that
Yeah.
film so much. Please don't be that. But if it is, I'll be like, oh no.
So
But
okay, so now I have to ask, like going off in a completely different direction, how do you feel about Star Trek Five? Like, do you think Star Trek Five? Do you think Star Trek Five was better than Star Trek Four?
hang on, let me have a look at Star Trek Five.
Five was the one where they Spock's brother popped up and they went and they found God at the center of the galaxy.
What? Have I missed? I
Have you
think
not seen Star Trek Five?
I don't
Five
think
was the final frontier.
I actually don't think I have seen that one. Is that the one where Spock becomes a baby and then he grows up again?
No, that was three.
Don't
So
think I've.
Star Trek the motion picture, the first one was the one with Decker and V'ger. Star Trek 2 was the Wrath of Khan. Star Trek 3 was the Search for Spock, where they get him back. 4 was the Whales. 5 was the Final Frontier, where you met Spock's brother Cybok, and he uh, uh, takes over the Enterprise and forces them to go past the galactic barrier at the center of the galaxy because he thinks that's where God lives. Then 6 was the one with the Klingons, the undiscovered
Okay.
country.
I don't actually think I've seen this one. I'm
Huh.
actually looking at the trailer. I think it's no, I can remember little bits maybe. But no, yeah, because that's when they started. It looks like they started using the next generation sets. I don't think I've
Yeah, maybe because Michael Dorn was in 6.
yeah, I don't think I've seen this one. Five,
That's
what's out
crazy.
5 years ago?
I think you're
Yeah.
gonna have a homework assignment for the week.
Oh no, I remember. Yeah, I remember the anti-grav boots. Um,
Like
so I
row,
have
row, row
seen.
your boat.
Yeah, so I have slightly seen it. Um, yeah, some of these,
Because
especially.
5 is widely regarded outside of the motion picture as being the worst out of all of them. Donnie Pearson says that he's seen all 13 of the Star Trek movies. Donnie, so I know you're back now, and you may have missed this part of the conversation, so I'm going to ask, how did you feel about 4? Erlem hated it.
I fucking hate it.
We don't know yet whether he likes the Final Frontier better or worse than 4. So now I think he's going to have to watch that this week and report back to us next weekend.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
which one
they
he hates more.
they also use like there's a scene in. Cause I'm looking at the trailer. There's a scene where they've got the guys running through hallways, and it's the same set as Next Generation. So it looks like they reuse some of the sets. Be like, well,
Wait, since you're looking at it, what year did 5 come out?
well, this trailer was uploaded on the 2015. I know, obviously, that's not the
Yeah,
case.
no.
Um,
It would have had to have been before 93 or 94. Or 90, no, well, actually, no. I mean, it would have had to have been before 90.
1989.
89. Okay, yeah. So Next Gen had already been on the air for 2.5 years.
Mm,
So it's very possible that they could have been using those sets. Interesting.
yeah, it's such. I just remember the whole the grab boot thing. So
Five is also the one that gave us the fan dance.
the fan dance. Hmm.
Yeah, with Uhura doing the weird naked dance with the fans in front of her.
I damn horny teen not doing this, Mark. Damn it.
Oh man. Okay.
I'm gonna have to
This
watch it.
week, yeah, this week watch Star Trek 5, and we'll make that part of the discussion for next week. But let's jump back to the stuff with the burn.
Yeah.
Um, well, actually, I guess we kind of finished discussing that for the most part, but yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what this ship that's in the middle of this nebula is doing, because I'm assuming that's what we're going to get next week is more information on the burn, because we're now 8 episodes in to the season. We have 5 more left. The next episode is Terra Firma Part 1, and then Terra Firma Part 2. So we actually have a 2-parter coming up.
Oh, that's not too
Um,
bad then.
so that will be interesting. We don't have a synopsis for the episode yet, but we did see um, a preview for it. Did you watch the preview for it?
We don't get them.
Really?
Like because we get them on Netflix, so we don't
Oh, so
get.
it's just the episodes. Okay.
Uh,
See if you can pull it up on YouTube. Because there were a couple of things in there that kind of stood out to me a little bit, but nothing that actually explained what the episode is about.
yeah, what was like? I remember seeing a picture online, and there's a guy in a like the Next Generation outfit.
Yeah, yeah. So they're saying that his name is Yor. I think this is something that I wanted to look up, and then because I was like not out of my mind, but a little brain fried this morning, I forgot to look for it. So let me see, Star Trek Yor. Um, so let me see, coming from TrekMovie.com. Preview for the next episode of Star Trek Discovery reveals a surprising crossover. So I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go through this article really quick. So spoiler alert, if you don't want to know anything about what came up in the preview and what's going to happen for next week, we did see that Cronenberg is coming back in next week's episode because he was there in that picture. Okay, so let's see. A clip from the next episode of Discovery hints at some answers to both and introduces a huge new element in the show. Two questions: what is going on with Michelle Yeoh's Georgiou and her visions, and who exactly is the mysterious Kovich played by David Cronenberg? Here they're talking about watching it. Let's see. Before we dig into everything about Georgiou and Kovich, let's first discuss the import of something Kovich said. In order to explain what is ailing Georgiou, Kovich showed Dr. Kohlberg a Betelgeusian named Lieutenant Commander Yor, who obviously is deceased because that was quite a while ago. And that's actually not. It actually doesn't look like it's a TNG era uniform now that I'm looking at it. Unless they've updated the uniforms for the show, it looks like it might be. I don't know, because it's interesting. Like when you see it, there's more of a change up at the top than around. It looks like it might be like lower decks era.
I'm just having a kind of look for it because I know they changed it over the years. Because then, because
I'm gonna post a link here in the chat, just so everyone there can see what I'm looking at. So let's see. The first thing that jumps out is yours wearing a Starfleet uniform used in the early 2360s, as seen on early seasons of Star Trek: The Next Generation. So I guess maybe this version has been seen before.
Yeah.
But Kovich revealed there's much more to Yor. Oh, so maybe this clip is more than what I saw after the episode. So I'll have to watch this after we're done here. So Kovich says you traveled forward from 2379 and across from an alternate universe created by the temporal incursion of a Romulan mining ship. Oh, so they're tying in the other thing, the J.J. Abrams verse.
Yeah.
So is he Kelvin?
I don't know. I know that there was a talk about it.
You traveled forward here from 2379 and across from an alternate universe created by. Oh no! They're in the Kelvin universe.
What? I was always led to believe that they were in
the Prime universe. So in the past they were in the Prime universe. But it says Kovich says right here oh sorry, no, not them. I read this wrong. They didn't travel. Sorry, this character, the guy in the Federation ship, Yor traveled forward from 2379 and across from an alternate universe created by the temporal incursion of a Romulan mining ship. So this Betelgeusian character traveled from the Kelvin universe to the Prime universe. That's interesting. Kovich's mention of a Romulan mining ship is a clear reference to the Narada from the 2009 Star Trek movie. In the year 2387, in the Prime universe, the Narada was a Romulan mining ship under the command of Nero that engaged with Spock when he created the black hole that pulled them both back in time. So let's see. I'm going to skim down a bit. Even though there have been references to events from the 2009 Star Trek movie and Star Trek Picard, notably the destruction of Romulus and the resulting Romulan refugee crisis, those all refer to events that happened in the late 24th century of the Prime universe, not the Kelvin universe. Kovich is the first character in the Prime universe to reference the Kelvin universe. But it remains to be seen how much Kovich knows about the Kelvin universe. But if Yor went through the same kind of rigorous debriefing that Georgiou went through, Kovich may know quite a bit more, including Spock Prime's eventual fates. Let's see, what else are they saying here? The Kelvin universe is essentially no different from the Mirror universe in terms of an alternate universe where crossings are possible. Opens up the door to many possibilities, both for the Star Trek universe on TV and feature films as well. Kovich did say that before Georgiou, Yor was the only individual known to have traveled across both time and dimensions. So it's possible that there are others who have crossed from Kelvin to Prime or vice versa, but not also through time. I mean, we know for a fact that there have been dimensional crossovers because there was the episode with Worf where there were like all those starships that were appearing, and we saw like the Riker from the dimension where they were being battered by the Borg, and his ship just like randomly exploded. So we know that we know that time travel is possible. We already knew that. We knew that crossing over from multiple timelines via rifts are possible. So your crossover not only via a dimensional rift, but through a temporal rift as well. So I don't think this is anything that people should be like, "Ooh, wow, this is a unique situation." Now they're trying to merge everything together. We just hadn't seen any storylines from alternate dimensions in the past. Alternate timelines, sure. We've seen the existence of alternate dimensions, so it's a known quantity. This is just the first time we're getting that crossover. So I don't. It's a big deal as far as making everything unified, but it's not necessarily a big deal as in this is something that breaks canon.
Yeah. So like Kirk and Spock and his crew just like cheese on into our universe and be like, "Hey, what you doing?" It's like, "Oh my god, who are you?"
Right.
"I'm Captain Kirk." You know, it'd be cool if they did that, but nah. Yeah. Well, I've sent you a picture on our chat of that uniform
let
that
me
they
pull
did use.
that up here.
And it's from the episode we were talking about the other
Oh,
day.
huh? Interesting. That is really funny.
She disappeared.
Let me scroll back up to the other image here. Okay, yeah. So it really just looks like yours uniform. It looks the same, but just slightly better quality.
Yeah. I mean, that uniform is probably, 20 years old or something. It's
Yeah.
probably just, it's turned to dust or in some random person's house.
Well, I mean, we don't know what kind of material those their clothing were made out of. I mean, I have T-shirts that are like 20 years old that are still in decent shape. So, you know,
Same here.
um, I should probably get rid of some of them though because I have a lot of stuff that I don't need. But yeah, so anyway, that actually is exciting. That we're going to see. We know now for a fact from that preview that we're going to be digging into what happened to what's going on with Giorgio. Not necessarily any further further information on what's happening with the burn. Maybe that will come in the second part of that. Let me pull that back up here again because we've got Terra Firma Part One, Terra Firma Part Two, and then the Citadel.
I have a feeling that this is going to be like with Burnham, it'll be a mind meld or it'll be a mind journey that, from what looking at the preview, for where she's kind of like she goes like, "Oh, fight me," blah blah blah. So obviously it's a thing because she notices she's getting weaker and stuff. And I reckon it'll be you have to go into her mind and kind of figure out what's going on. And I reckon that would be a massive thing because it just feels weird of sending him to an ice planet for no reason.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that's going to be in next week's episode or in the episode
Mm.
after that because like I said, we know that this is a two-parter here. I just queued up the preview. I've just got that playing now in the background without the sound on, so I don't know what they're talking about. But I just wanted to see what is actually going on here. But while I'm kind of digging through this, let's move on from Giorgio and the burn and briefly talk about Adira and Stamets and Culber, because they all seem to be getting closer.
Mm.
Um, Adira, I don't know that I can really say finally, but she addressed the fact that she is non-binary uh, during conversation. You can see her like physically react when Stamets referred to her as she, or referred to them as she.
Mm.
Sorry, I still have trouble with that, and like this like I don't want this to sound negative in any way. I just have trouble saying them when referring to an individual person because
Yeah.
I'm so used to they being like signifying multiple people being plural. So it's a mental block that I need to get over. But it just it doesn't compute the way that it should.
Yeah.
So I
I,
personally have I don't have an issue with the word being the word for the purpose. I have an issue actually remembering that that's the word that I need to say.
mm.
So
I,
if anyone watching is like prefers to refer to themselves as them and they instead of he or she or him or her, I apologize. It's that I'm not purposely trying to do it. I just slip.
mm.
Um,
It was quite interesting, I think, because I can understand the reason behind it, where they're like, oh, there's so many people. But there was something that pops up, and she says that she can't see, I can't remember the character's name, the one that you don't like, the one that smiles too much.
oh, Gray,
Yeah. And
her
it was,
boyfriend. Yeah.
yeah, and she was like, oh, they were like, no, I can't see them, I can't sense them anymore. So I think that maybe it was an
No.
integration.
She they sorry they can sense that Gray is there,
Mm.
but they're not able to. But Gray isn't speaking to them anymore.
I just thought,
So we don't know. Yeah, we don't know why that is.
it's the burn. It's always the burn.
I mean,
I just,
it could be an evolution of how she's sorry that about how they're processing the trill
mm,
and all the personalities that exist in there. Um, but it could be that Gray is purposely hiding
yeah.
well, not hiding himself, but purposely not speaking to them. But yeah, I don't know.
I just thought, oh, they can't speak to. The contract for that character ran out, and they've got one more episode left, and it'll be right at the end where they're all
Yeah,
coming together.
I actually don't know how many more episodes the actor who plays Gray is um, set for. I wonder if it says on IMDb. Uh, like, 'cause I know they've got all the episodes loaded on there. I can't remember his name, so give me a second just to spell Discovery right and see if I can find him in the list here. Season 3. Let's see. He was in this episode. Ian Alexander. There he is. So he's listed in the next two episodes, and the Citadel, the Good People, and Outside. Um, so it seems like this is the only episode that he's not appearing in.
Mm,
Scavengers was the last one, right?
I think so. Yeah.
No, the last one was Unification Part 3.
Oh yeah.
Before that was Scavengers. Sorry. So yeah, so he wasn't in Unification. He wasn't in this week's episode, but he's in the next 3, 4. He's in the next 5.
Oh, okay.
He'll be appearing from here on out. Um, maybe maybe he's a manifestation of something that has to do with the burn.
maybe. I think it could pop up and be something like, or
Because like you had said something about the imaginary friend that the girl had in that one episode of TNG.
yeah. I kind of think that maybe it will be a thing where in the next episode that they'll arrive there and it'll be like boom, and they'll be like start scanning, and then all of a sudden she'll be on the bridge, and then Gray comes like where he's like no go, boom, and then it kind of incorporates Discovery into the nebula or something, and thus therefore you get something like maybe a flashback memories to what actually happened back then and stuff like that, or like before that they met each other and it goes all the way back, and that therefore they kind of start talking about that. That's something I
I just came up with another crazy theory.
go on
Okay, so we were talking earlier about the spore drive allowing Discovery to travel through the mycelial network,
then.
and then from there, I jokingly I was talking about them traveling through the Nexus. What if they were trying to travel through fluidic space?
It could be something, but then maybe.
Because we don't really know how fluidic space works.
Mm.
We know that there was a breach somewhere in the Delta Quadrant that allowed the passage back and forth between the two. Because what was the Borg trying to do with fluidic space? Were they trying to travel through it, or were they doing something else?
They were trying to conquer it or something like that.
Let me look it up here. Fluidic space, Star Trek. Um, Fluidic space was an extra-dimensional realm filled with a form of organic fluid and containing no stars or other celestial bodies. Its sole indigenous life forms were species 8472. Objects moving through fluidic space generated pressure waves detectable by species 8472. The Borg became aware of it and utilized a series of quantum singularities as interdimensional rifts to access the realm. However, species 8472 proved impossible to assimilate and invaded the galaxy in return. Um, so I guess their only purpose was trying to conquer it. See, in 2374, a member of species 8472 had been stranded in the Delta Quadrant, tried to use the deflector on Voyager to open a quantum singularity, but failed. When Voyager locked down after encountering the Omega phenomenon later that year, Ensign Hickman speculated the cause to be a new species 8472 incursion from fluidic space. Let's see, actually. In 2378, the bored son of Q suggested to Catherine Janeway that they could enter fluidic space and fight species 8472. Yeah, so it doesn't actually say how it would work. So I don't even know if that's possible. But that's I guess that's just another theory up on my crazy person board.
It's when it all comes true, and you're like, yes. I still
So I
think
guess doing the Charlie Day. But yeah, I don't know. Before we wrap up, was there anything that we haven't touched upon that really kind of stood out to you from this episode, or stuck out, or lingering questions?
no. I think this entire episode you had like you just had like the it was a filler episode. It was, pardon me, like you had Book and that was it. And to be fair, I thought he would have joined the Federation ages ago because of Michael and stuff like that. So for me on that one, I was just generally like, oh, I thought he was part of the crew now, just randomly. I have to admit, I do like the fact they did the Star Wars type thing, where it was just like they went to attack the ship. So I think that was kind of a nice way. But majority of it, I think it was just a filler episode. There wasn't any progression, and we only saw, oh, we now know that there's a Federation ship out there that caused this. I swear to God, it better not be Voyager, just suspended in time somewhere. Be like, God damn it, Janeway, and that's how like parody comes in.
Yeah, uh, I don't know. For me, like there was nothing inherently bad about the episode. There was just nothing inherently great about it either. I did like the progression that we got with the Burn and what's going on with Giorgio, but outside that, it was just kind of. Definitely really interested more in next week's episode and the following part of the two-parter after that. But yeah, there was nothing really just like wowed me or stood out or like obviously I have questions about what's going on with uh, uh, what they figured out about the Burn and what's happening with Giorgio, but I feel like those were all questions that we kind of had coming into this week as well. So there were no new questions I think that were really raised in this episode that I hadn't been wondering before we got into it. So let's go with the ratings. What would you give this episode?
I'm going to give it a 2, and Wesley crushes Pip.
So we're gonna go with a 2.
2. Yeah.
I'm gonna be a little more generous. I think I'd give it a 3. It's very average. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. This isn't going to be an episode that like 2 years from now I'm gonna be like, oh man, you remember this episode? It's just kind of there. It exists, and it moved the story forward a little bit. One thing that I think might happen, that also just kind of popped into my head, because of what happened in this week's episode with where we saw Saru turn to Burnham and Book and like to Book he was like, I have no authority over you, so I really can't tell you what to do. But then turned to Burnham and was like, be safe, blah 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 blah. Don't do anything stupid. Having a guy working with Starfleet that's not Starfleet might work to their advantage.
Yeah.
So I won't necessarily be surprised if like Book is like, no, I want to join. Like it comes and says, hey, I want to join Starfleet, and then to be like, actually, it's better if you don't.
Yeah. Be like, we need you for certain missions that the Federation can't get involved, because when they said that about the when Saru says it to the pilot and goes like, oh, if you went and did this, blah blah blah, it was one of those things of, we're going to send you on that one. And when obviously the Orion like message was like, we're going to pay, and he's like, do you need assistance because we've not technically done anything? It's like, look at Book ship, it's doing it on its own. It's nothing to do with us, which is technically when you see most Federation characters being like total bitches when they don't want to say anything, like, oh, it's not my fault, but I'll help you if you want.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, well, Book, your ship is in the docking bay. You can, whatever.
Yeah, it's already fueled up and ready to go, and we've given you some rations and stuff. If you technically want to do us a favor, we'll be here at this location because we'll be doing maintenance for a while. Our systems are realigned, and we need to get them perfectly. And the replicators are down. We can't reroute power to the deflector dish without the replicators. So if you could just do that, that would be grand.
We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, so that is, I think, going to do it for us for this week on the Riker maneuver. I've now got to go and prep for the Retro Ranger wrap up, where I will be watching and we'll be discussing episodes 32 and 33 of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. I know the first one is them trying to get back Pink's quantum saber because it disappeared somewhere after Kendricks died. And then I'm not sure what the next episode after that is. But if you want to hear me talking about it, you can tune in at 1:15, so just about 45 minutes from now on the Retro Ranger wrap up, and then later tonight at 8 o'clock Also on the Illuminerdi, you'll be able or you can tune into the Illuminerdi Wrestling Order. And I actually do know what they're going to be talking about today, if my computer agrees with me. Let's see here. It is. They're talking about Sting joining AEW Wrestling. I have no idea what that means overall. I know who Sting is. I know what AEW is. I know what WWE is, but that's about as far as it goes. So yeah, I'm gonna go watch Retro, and I'm assuming you're gonna go edit more Final Fantasy VII videos.
No, they've all been finished. It just needs to be uploaded, and I have to find thumbnails for each one, and then be like, "Oh, let's upload one a day," because why not? I might update part 85 of 117.
117.
Yeah, the entire thing's 170.
Oh,
It would have been a little bit longer if I hadn't have gone, "Do you know what? I'll just combine these two videos together." So it's like 230 episodes.
that's rough. When do you expect to have the first of those up?
Well, they're all going up now, but
Oh,
because
okay.
I do it like a December challenge, where it's a video per day. If I haven't got anything for the video, it goes out. So, but yeah, they're all there. It's just me going like, "Whoa, what do you think about this, Cloud? Oh, I think it's really good, Cloud. Thanks very much."
All right then. I think all my plugs are out of the way. You can follow me on social media where I discuss Trump being an idiot usually, and whatever else is going on in pop culture at the time. I've been watching his Dark Materials. I know a new episode of that drops tomorrow. I recently also watched the new episode of The Mandalorian, which I really enjoyed, and binged through the entire season of Saved by the Bell on Peacock.
Oh, I need to watch the reboot.
Yeah, it's fun. It took me a couple of episodes to be like, oh, I get it now. I know what they're doing. Before I was like, all right, I really enjoy it, but it was a fun show. And then The Stand. The Stand is starting up on CBS All Access December 17th. Joe and I have been discussing how we're going to be covering that here on the Illuminerdi, whether we're going to be doing an after show or just some short videos, just with follow-ups, discussing differences between what's happening on the show and what happened in the book or the original miniseries. But you can look forward to that coming in about 10 days to 2 weeks. But I think that about does it for us. So we will see you guys next Saturday, because I am working during the day Fridays now. So we'll try and make Saturdays a regular thing so that Eric Berry can join us as well. This week was just kind of a one-off because I had rehearsal on set yesterday. So until next week.
So then, yep.
See ya.
Bye.
Which button? That button.